Hey, so have you ever felt triggered? I know I felt triggered sometimes, and sometimes I can let something will happen and I start having a reaction to it. And what started to do is make a practice of noticing when that happens. I try to notice it immediately because then I can catch it and see what is it that's making me have that reaction. It's easier if you do it sooner rather than later because if you feel triggered about something and you don't catch it sooner, then the emotion can start to build and it intensifies. And once it gets past a certain level of intensity, it's harder to, I guess, dial it back. So then you start to act out of that emotion. So um, I guess what I am saying is that it's important to explore and deconstruct thoughts, beliefs, values, and identities that are inherited through systems of oppression, culture, religion, education, and even family lineage. By becoming conscious of the frame that's shaping our worldview, we can begin to process the decolonizing of our mind and reclaim our own truth. Leadership begins with liberating your own mind. So then, I think I want to give an example. Oh, let me give an example from when I was young. When I was young, my aunt used to come and visit periodically, and she would come and take care of me and my sister. And she was leaving one time, and I remember I used to always get upset when it was time for her to leave because I loved my aunt and I liked her being around. So I remember this one time she left, and I cried to my mother. And I was like, why is everybody always leaving me? And my mother said, they have to go home. Oh, that completely changed my perspective because yes, they're leaving. That's objective reality. They're leaving, but subjective reality is your perception of what's happening and the meaning that you're assigning to it. And in that moment, the meaning that I was assigning to it was that she was leaving me, and I thought that meant something about me, right? And so it's necessary sometimes to unpack those things. And sometimes people call it a form of self-soothing when you stop, or I guess here they call it radical acceptance. But understanding subjective reality versus objective reality can include understanding where your particular thoughts are coming from. So sometimes, every now and again, I have a thought and I'm like, where is that thought coming from? Is that my thought? Is that a thought that I inherited? Because sometimes you actually inherit, we're all born into a conversation. And so sometimes those conversations stick with us. That's how we learn. That's kind of what shapes our world and our worldview. And so I think it's important as time goes on to re-examine your values and your beliefs, because are they really your values and beliefs, or are they values and beliefs that you inherited? You may have inherited them from the religion that you're a part of. You may have inherited them from the parents, you may have inherited them just from the media, like here's one, one example. So when I was younger, I saw this movie called Escape from New York. I don't know if any of you have seen that. But Escape from New York was this movie, and they had like Elon Musk Tesla style cars in there. And it was horrible. It was full of crime, and it was just all kind of crazy going on, and people were just scrambling to get out of there. And so that was always my perception of New York. It wasn't my actual experience of New York, but because of what I saw in the media, that has always been my perception of New York. So, yeah, I've been in New York several times. I've never had that experience, but sometimes I'll see things about New York, like on YouTube not so long ago. I saw a story about somebody being pushed in front of the train. Then I saw another story about somebody being SA'd on the train and nobody did anything. Another story I saw was where this man punched a woman in the face on the train. Nobody did anything. And then most recently, I saw a picture of somebody being set on fire in the subway system, and nobody did anything. So recently, I traveled to New York, and I was like, "Oh my God, I don't want to go to this place." But I got there, and nothing like that happened. The people were kind. Because the other thing, New York has a reputation for, they say that the people are rude. Like the stories I just named, they say, anything can happen. Nobody's going to do anything. People don't care. They're callous, and, they just mind their business. But that's not actually what I found. I was I had a bag, and the New York subway system does not have a lot of escalators, elevators, that kind of thing. So you're going up and down the stairs, and this guy was like, "Can I help you with your bag?" And he took my bag down the stairs for me, very kind. Then at another point, somebody said, "Can I help you with your bag up the stairs?" He took my bag up the stairs for me. Again, very kind. Something else happened when I was there. I was walking down this hallway, and this guy said, "You dropped something." And I had dropped a coupon or something out of my pocket. And he pointed to it, and he's like, "You want me to get it for you?" And I was like, "Oh, no, I'll get it." Well, I'm old. And by the time I got down there, because I was stiff, but I was trying to get down there and get it. By the time I got down there, he had picked it up for me and gave it to me. So, yeah, like, I guess I'm talking to myself in this moment, to notice the difference in my ideas and opinions about New York based on what I've actually experienced in New York versus the media that I see. Where did that thought come from? I know where some of those negative thoughts about New York came from. They're all from the media. That's it. I just wanted to say, I think that's important sometimes for us to be aware of where are we getting our ideas, values, and beliefs from, and to understand if that is subjective reality or objective reality. Now, let me just say this. I probably should stop here, but I'm going to say one more thing. I guess all of those things could be possible. You know what I'm saying? New York is a big city. Maybe it is possible that really happened. That man punched that woman in the face on the train. Maybe it is possible that some of those other negative things happen. But what I'm going to do for myself so that I'm not so stressed out the next time I have to go to New York is become aware that I've actually had several trips to New York, and I've never had any of those experiences. Never had any of it. People were always friendly. People were welcoming. People were helpful. If I had a question, There was always somebody there to answer. They never were really in a rush. They weren't rude to me, none of that. So big ups to New York.